Hello everybody, welcome back. It's the end of the year and it's time for the reading for 2016. Now this is going to be the reading for the entire year. So what we'll be coming out of this is mainly what are the high points. I'm not going to be talking about every individual month as it goes, but what are the high points that will come up throughout the year. So that we'll be talking about if there's any environmental, if there's any social changes, if there's any major events that we need to be aware of that the ancestors are going to be talking most about in this next year. What is the mood and energy that we're going to be looking at over the course of 2016? For a more specific reading that tailored to you, contact me below. If you also want to check out our Hoodoo of the Week card, which talks about the energy for the week, and it covers the entire year. Now it's following the seasonal year, not the calendar year, just so you understand. So the seasonal year won't be starting up again, because we're presently in winter, but it won't be starting up again until we get to spring. So that's sort of the start of the new year, when everything's beginning again in that time frame. But right now this reading will be for the calendar year of 2016. So let's go ahead and get the ancestors in and see what they have to say for the year of 2016 calendar. Alrighty, well, as I said in the past, anything that does not end up on the reading surface is not part of the reading. So, the ancestors are limiting the reading as what's left. Anything that's on the edge of the reading surface is a part of it, but we're going to consider it as being on the cusp. So, what does this year of 2016 hold? Now the two primary large bones that we have here are this one and this one, which one of them is off the board. And the key things we're seeing here with this one is more matters around work and with family. Family is the bone that's going to be slightly off the reading surface. So there are family matters that are going to be at the periphery of things for the rest of the year. I also would say that this is about certain family members and this is family both of birth and of choice, whose role in your life may be less, if not exiting. And that could be due to them moving away, ties getting cut, even death. So this next year, you're going to be seeing some changes in the family structure. And they are what they are, positive and negative, but there will be changes to your family structure. And that also leads to the possibility of new family members coming in. So this also can say that you may get the news that somebody is pregnant in 2016. So like I said, it's partially on, partially off. So you got people going out, you got people coming in. And there's also the sort of wishbone that's next to it. And there becomes that also aspect of what wishes are coming in relation to family. Now, on a much broader scale, if we're going to look at this for the year, we're also talking about, as I said, we have both family of birth and family of choice. Another could be seen as the family of a nation, a country, even for lack of a better word, a race. There's going to be changes, and very strong dynamic changes going on in that aspect too. And again, as I said, there are going to be things coming in, there's going to be people going out. But that aspect of family is going to change, ultimately for good. Now, as we move into the work bone, what I see here is that the economic structure that we're looking at for this year is going to improve as we move into this. But what is going to be most affected by which sadly for those of us here in the U.S. is a political year. We're looking at a election of who the new president will be after in 2017. Now the thing there is, which is also what I see here with the copper piece and the bone, family bone, and the other support bones here, is a question of why we're making that decision, which leads itself further down to being to this piece of tooth here. It's about what are we doing for nourishment, and most importantly is then what are we choosing as our form of nourishment? Are we choosing the form of love, or are we choosing the form of fear? And that's a choice that's going to be kind of presented to everybody. It's a choice of fear or love. Are the decisions we're making about our future based in fear, or are they based in love? And much of what happens, especially around a political season, and ads, because I'll be frank, I just stopped listening to the radio altogether as political seasons have started, because we're going to be seeing all the attack and fear-mongering ads, which we've already seen a bunch of that right now in 2015. And since the tooth is coming up, it's about what's being fed. And we've had a lot of people feeding us of the elements of fear, but we have the choice of not taking nourishment from it, and taking the nourishment from the subject of love. But ultimately, the fear and love that's being fed to us is not about the people around, not ultimately about the people that's around us. It's about what lies in ourselves. And the decisions are we making about fear of others or fear of ourselves, and love of others or love of ourselves. And this is not talking selfish love. And this is going to come up in relation to both our work and our economy, because the choices are we making the choices about fear and fear of others? Fear of what somebody over in Germany fails to do that doesn't support our economy here, or fear that we can't export enough from China to be able to supply the stuff that we have here. Those decisions around fear of loss, fear of the identities that come with and from both our work and our economy, are things that have been fuel for the last several years, and we can't function off that. A diet of fear is not energetically good for the body. And if we're looking at the larger standpoint, like I said, with the family standpoint, is our body is also our country. Our body is also the world. And so long as we keep feeding it fear, it will deteriorate. It's not the most healthy and not the most nourishing food. So just as you can, that fear fed into you or fed out of you does not create for nourishment either. So this is where the choice is. Do you make your decisions out of fear for yourself or love for yourself? Not just the fear of somebody else and what you offer. Because when you offer the nourishment, you're offering the healthier, you're offering the ability and the possibilities, the infinite possibilities of change, and the infinite ability to say, what if? What? Because the difference between the love possibilities and the fear possibilities is the fear possibilities are much more limited. Let's say you only got 2 choices there. While with the love ones you got 6. But the fear ones will only continue to perpetuate the fear, because they take away the nourishment that's needed to have the greater possibilities, the greater ifs. And I bring this back to the quartz piece as well. Though it's sort of off by itself here, it is about memory. And memory is probably one of our biggest things that relates to fear and love. Because the reactions we're having to people, to situations, are centered in the memories that we've had on previous experiences. And there's a principle that we cannot keep living in the past if we want to build the future. That doesn't mean we don't take lessons from it for building the future, but we don't live in the past. Much of what's come up in the last part of 2015 has been the attempts to forget the past and in a way recreate them at the same time with the factors we've seen around the ideas of having a registry of people who are tagged, no different than the tattoos that were used to mark those during the Holocaust. And I know that's not the most pleasant view, but that's an example of the fear, that's then the feeding that it provides, because we've forgotten it. Now 2016 is not about trying to continue to reap what the past brought us. It's about what the future can bring us. And the ideas of the past, and in that time, were only what was pleasant for a few, not for everybody. Because someone was always suffering, but not always being known that it was suffering. So let's move on from there. What are we looking at also in the realm of environment and such? And what we see there is a sharp climb, which I'm seeing here in these rib bones, of areas around moisture. And then there's going to be a sharp drop off and then a much more gradual decline. So that I'm seeing we're going to be having at least 4 more hurricanes that are going to be hitting the eastern seaboard. At least 3 that will probably hit on the Gulf of Mexico and Pacific. Of those, 2 will be somewhere around a category F3 or F4. Shouldn't get an F5, but they will be strong, and there will be strong climate area changes. We're also going to see a sharp change too in the weather temperatures around this period. For the last couple of years we've had the polar vortex that hit the Midwest and eastern seaboard. You're going to still get cold, there's no doubt about that, but it's not going to be as much of the polar vortex for you. It's actually probably going to hit more those of us here on the West Coast. And frankly, we're due for it, and we kind of need it with the rain and such. There will be at least several more earthquakes. This one's I'm seeing South America, at least another major one in Japan, although it should not generate more nuclear issues. And we'll be seeing at least a major one here on the West Coast as well. I'm seeing this one hitting more towards the Oregon area, if not Seattle. But you'll be able to get through it, not to worry about it. So when we get to these 2 outer ones, what are we seeing here? What I'm seeing here with this outer one is we're going to have something going on more celestial based. So there's going to be some interesting discoveries out in space, or at least related to the sky. So we may start seeing more successes from like the SpaceX project with the missile, with the rocket landing, or discoveries made that relate to our weather and maybe even the solar market, but especially out amongst the stars. Even the possibility we may finally find a world that is clearly Earth-like. But that's a big if. As for this one here, which is also closely related to the environment, we're going to be seeing some other environmental change. And this also feeds back into the question of love and fear, because there is going to be some other ecological disasters. Some big ones that are going to have their impact on fear and love. Fear in being able to make sure we have the supply of certain foods or resources. I'm going to suggest that this is probably going to relate not to the fuel market but to the water market, which also impacts the food market. And the question is, are we willing to ration ourselves till the ecological disaster is over with? Or are we going to be in the fear and hoarding? And sadly, both those choices are going to be coming up. But how we respond is very key. And I'm going to say that this event is going to impact not just the U.S., but Europe as well, part of South America, and the Middle East. Oh, and Asia, don't think you're immune from this. You're going to have your own set of problems as well. But that's about it for what the ancestors are willing to talk about for 2016. Again, the choice is, are you making your choice not for yourself, not based off of others, about what it means to be in fear and what it means to be in love for you. Make your decisions based on love, and we'll be in a better place. But make it out of fear, and I'm sorry, you're taking the consequences that come with all of that. You've been warned. Fear or love? Always assess that question. This is Uncle Destiny on behalf of the ancestors and the spirits. I hope you have a good 2016. Blessings and Ashe.